The African National Congress and President Cyril Ramaphosa's popularity is now lower than ever. Afrobarometer has found it's even lower than during the Jacob Zuma's era. It says approval ratings were high during the Ramaphosa of the New Dawn, but it's now in decline. Let's get more from Afrobarometer's Hofmeyr on the data. Good morning, Mr. Hofmeyr, and thank you very much for your time. A very interesting set of figures, I must say. If we just had to rewind and go to around 2017, he was quite popular. And now we're seeing that there's a significant decline. Just talk to us about these latest figures and what you attribute them to.
Yes, good morning, Fundo. So firstly, I just have to say that these figures were conducted or gathered during May, June in 2021. So it's important to also get the sort of the time frame within which they were gathered. So it was also during and in the run-up to the local government elections last year. And what we see in terms of findings around the president is one that we generally find in public institutions across the spectrum in South Africa. We've seen a marked decline specifically from 2010 onwards in trust that people have in the national government, provincial government, and local government levels. So a general decline that one can ascribe to many things, and one has to be careful what one gives weight to. But I think something that we have to bear in mind has been the global economic crisis of the late 2000s, slow economic growth that has followed in the wake of it, and generally people feeling much more despondent in terms of their employment opportunities, their general economic opportunities. Then, of course, we also have had the situation around our energy crisis that has also dragged down sort of the national spirit or the national mood. There has been also the revelations around state capture. When one then looks at these findings for the president, I think one has to see it sort of within the broader context of a nation that is at a sort of a low in terms of their sentiment towards a whole range of issues, including their trust in the presidency.
Mm-hmm. And then is this just confined to the president, or it extends to the political party, the African National Congress, as well?
It extends across the board. It extends to the ruling party, but it also extends to opposition parties. And I think that for us is the more concerning message that we wanted to convey in this, is that many South Africans feel that the electoral processes do not render what we expect of them, and that is to hold those who govern us accountable. And what we've seen over the past decade is almost a retreat of voters from voting. We've seen that last year specifically in the local government elections, where many people just decided to stay away and felt that their vote doesn't matter in any case. And I think that is something that we need to pay attention to. Our findings also show that a greater percentage or a growing number of South Africans feel that protest is a more effective way of addressing their issues. Mm-hmm. However, one has to say that is a sort of a very sort of legitimate sort of point of view. I think we've also seen that it is effective in a number of instances. But what we have to also remember is that protests focus on very specific issues. Right, so if you feel that you've got a government that generally do not deliver, the vote is your opportunity to get rid of that government and replace it by a government that may do better. And I think this is what we lose out when people decide we will rather not go and vote and use protest as a means for engagement. Protest has its merits, of course, but the vote is also equally important.
Mm-hmm. And we have seen quite a lot of those protests of late, so clearly speaks to the kind of figures which reveal the sentiment on the ground right now. Jan, thank you very much for your insights. That is Jan Hofmeyr speaking to us there. Now, still to